All right, let's talk about grammar. And I know what you might be thinking. Some dusty old rule book full of do's and don'ts, right? But what if we thought about it in a totally different way? Not as a bunch of rigid laws, but as the fascinating, internal logic of language itself. The invisible architecture that lets us build and share our most complex ideas.
I mean, really? Have you ever stopped to think about it? How do we take this jumble of sounds and symbols and somehow turn them into a clear thought, a compelling story, or a powerful argument? Well, that's the magic we're going to unpack today, so let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start with a big picture, what grammar actually is. Then we'll break it down to its smallest parts, the words themselves, and see how they get sorted. From there, we'll start putting those parts together into bigger units and finally build some complete sentences. And by the end, we'll see exactly why this whole blueprint is so crucial for actually getting our point across.
First up, the language blueprint. I want you to think of us as architects for a minute. But instead of building a house, we're building an idea. And grammar? Well, grammar is a set of plans we absolutely need to make sure that idea is structurally sound and doesn't just fall apart.
The two key words to really hang on to here are appropriate and understandable. See, grammar isn't just about being correct for the sake of it. It's about having a shared system, a shared blueprint that allows a thought that's in my head to be rebuilt accurately inside of your head. Without that, honestly, it's all just noise.
Okay, on to our second section, the basic bricks. Every great structure, every skyscraper, every house starts with its most basic material. In language, that's the word. These are the bricks we use to construct everything, from a simple little phrase to a huge, complex argument.
But here's the cool part. Words aren't these rigid, boring bricks. They're actually super flexible. I mean, the connection between the word tree and that big leafy thing outside is totally arbitrary. We could have called it a blorg. We just as a group agreed on tree. And because it's all based on agreement, it's constantly changing. Words' meanings expand, they shrink, some even disappear completely. It's kind of like fashion, really.
So we've got our bricks. But a good builder doesn't just have one type of brick, right? They've got different materials for different jobs. Concrete for the foundation, wood for the framing. It's the exact same thing in language. We sort words into classes based on what they do in a sentence. You probably learned them as the parts of speech.
First up, we've got the foundation, nouns. These are our subjects and objects. A noun's job is super simple but absolutely essential. It just names the who or the what of our sentence. Words like man, city, idea, courage, those are all nouns.
So if nouns are the what, then verbs are the what's happening. Simple as that. They are the engines of our sentences. A verb can be a physical action like to run or to think, or it can just describe a state of being like is or seems. The bottom line is, without a verb, nothing is happening. Your sentence just sits there.
Okay, now we get to add the design details. Adjectives are the words we use to splash some color and description onto our nouns. So it's not just a house, it's a red house. It's not just a question, but an important question. They make our language way more specific and vivid.
And if adjectives modify nouns, well, adverbs modify pretty much everything else. They add detail to our verbs, our adjectives, even to other adverbs. How did he speak? He spoke softly. How important was that question? It was very important. Adverbs answer those questions like how, when, where, and to what extent.
So let's see how this all clicks together. We start with our nouns, the man and the book. Solid. Now, let's add a verb to get some action going. He read. Okay, but what kind of man? Let's add an adjective, the tall man. And how did he read? Let's throw in an adverb. He quickly read. See that? Each word class just adds another layer of detail and meaning.
Okay, so we've got our different types of bricks sorted out. Now it's time to actually start mortaring them together into bigger, more functional chunks. This is where we get into things called phrases and clauses.
Now, this is a spot where people get confused all the time, but it's actually pretty simple. A phrase is a group of words that acts like a single unit, but it's missing a key piece. It doesn't have both a subject and a verb, like over the fence. It's a group, sure, but it's not a complete thought. A clause, on the other hand, does have a subject and a verb. So when we add the ball flew, we suddenly have a complete clause. The ball flew over the fence.
All right, we've assembled our phrases and clauses. Now it's time for the final stage of construction, putting them all together to create complete sentences. This is like building the actual rooms and floors of our architectural idea.
We can build these sentences in 3 main ways. The simplest is just one independent clause. The boy kicks the ball. Boom, a complete thought. To make a compound sentence, we can just stick 2 complete thoughts together. The boy kicks the ball, and the crowd cheers. But for real power, we use complex sentences. This is where we link a main clause with a dependent one, a clause that can't stand on its own. When the boy kicks the ball, the crowd cheers. See how that first part sets up a condition for the second? That's how we start showing really sophisticated relationships between ideas.
So we've gone from a single brick, a single word, all the way up to a fully formed structure. But let's just step back for a second and ask the biggest question of all. Why does any of this really matter? What's the real point of having this blueprint?
At the end of the day, this is what it's all about. Grammar isn't some list of arbitrary rules designed to trip you up. It's a powerful tool for thinking. It gives us a system to organize our messy ideas, connect them logically, and present them with some real clarity and order. You could say it's the very framework for rational thought.
And once you really get a feel for the blueprint, you can start to build with some real style, some real purpose. You can start varying your sentence structures to create rhythm and keep people engaged. You can put your most important ideas in just the right spot for maximum impact. Understanding the rules doesn't restrict you. It actually frees you up. It empowers you to build clearer, stronger, and way more compelling arguments.
We've seen that grammar really is the architecture of meaning. It's the amazing system that lets us construct ideas and share them with the entire world. So I guess the only question left is, with this blueprint in hand, what beautiful, powerful, and important ideas are you going to build?